Welcome, everybody, to the Grimdark Breakdown. And if it's Monday, that means it is Meta Monday. I don't know if I told you this, Chase. I literally went into my wife's office just a minute ago and was like, hey, we're going to shoot Meta Monday a little earlier. And she literally yelled and scared the crap out of me. Meta Monday. And I was like, babe, you need to come in here and introduce the show like that. And she just rolled her eyes at
Yeah,
me.
yeah, she does.
Yeah,
I had to take my co-star out of here. She was meowing too much.
but thank you guys for tuning in. Um, start with one tiny housekeeping, and then we're going to dive straight in. So this is the last Meta Monday of January. So we have our KROOT giveaway for the entire month of January. So just as a reminder for everybody, because somebody asked me like in the comments, they were like, is he really going to send a box out? I have 10 KROOT carnivores right here. I have the Vespid kill team right here. And I have the flesh shaper right here, all in this nifty little box that whoever wins will announce next week. And then I will ship out next week, assuming Texas is no longer under snow where I live, which is a rarity. And if we even get a flurry of snow, we close down. But this will be shipped out next week. So we'll announce the winner on next week's Meta Monday, and then we will ship it out. For those of you, this is your first time ever tuning in, all you have to do to get this lovely KROOT giveaway is subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment the word meta in the comments. Now, here's the cool part. You can have as many entries to win as there are Meta Mondays in a month. So if you want to go back in, I saw someone this morning that went in and they commented meta on every single, they subscribed today and then they commented meta on every single video. That give they got 3 chances to win, or 4, I can't remember, this morning. So enter it in, gets you a chance to win, guys. All right.
Also, if you were under this ice storm, snow stuff, and you ran out and you bought milk and bread, I hope you enjoyed your milk sandwiches and stayed warm. We didn't
Such
get
a
anything.
troll. I've got about 6 inches of compacted ice outside. And
Hey,
in Texas, that's Armageddon.
I got a day off for nothing.
There you go. All right. The armies that got zero placings in the last 2 weeks. For those of you also first time tuning in, what we do is we look at armies that got a top 4 placing in the last 2 weeks. The reason we do top 4 is because in a bigger events, it's very common to have anywhere between 2 and 4 players go undefeated. There's just not enough games for them to completely see who's the best of the absolute best. And realistically, we're just looking for what armies are doing very well. And if an army consistently is number 2 and they just can't beat 1, they're still a very good army. They're just 1 below whatever that top one is. So in the last 2 weeks, armies that have struggled, and you'll notice several of these. You've got Imperial Agents, not a real kind of army, but they do have a detachment. White Scars, Raven Guard, they have a detachment. Agents, straight up not an army. And then I may or may not have put Iron Hands in as a meme because of the characters that they got today. And I have a really good suspicion that before the end of the quarter, they're going to have a detachment and maybe a Primarch and some new stuff coming out. So I put that in there for love for them.
I'd like to throw a shout out here at this point. I would challenge anybody that watches any of these videos. If you go out and you win a GT with Agents of the Imperium and you cause us to move them from this no spot to a
I'll
one
buy
spot,
you any Agents kill team unit you want, and we will send it to you.
yep, because I doubt anybody can do it.
You're a Giga Chad. You're a Giga Chad if you do it. Giga Chad. So you do it. We'll get you a kill. We'll get you any of the Deathwatch kill teams or any of that kind of stuff, and send it to you. So show us. Got to be on BCP. Show us that you can place top 4 with Agents, and we'll send you one.
And we'll stop talking smack.
Yeah, I don't know about that part. At least for a little while. Both the Knights didn't have a great showing, so they did struggle this week. And then Grey Knights, I honestly think that the reason Grey Knights are struggling right now, and maybe I'm being optimistic because I'm a big fan of Grey Knights. I think they're a super cool army. I think they're going to get a giant range refresh here in about 6 months. But right now, they're in a rough spot.
And now we go on to our 1 seed winners, which were Deathwatch, Dark Angels, Gene Stealer Cult, Adeptus Sororitas or Sisters, Black Templars and Salamanders.
Salamanders got to win. Hey, they got to win.
Somebody didn't know about all them flamers. That's all I can tell you. Dark Angels kind of surprises me. Wrath of the Rock's pretty strong. especially with Darth Vader, aka Lionel Johnson, popping down wherever he wants to. Gene Stealer cult, they're like the cult of everybody. They're going to show up, they're going to win, then they're going to disappear for a while, and they'll come back. Sisters, you know, some weeks they're on, some weeks they're off. Black Templar,
Sisters
you know,
also just have a really, really small
yeah,
player base.
yeah. So that's probably why you don't see a lot of Sisters content out there. Black Templars, they've won a little bit here. And Deathwatch, piloted by Stephen Box of Vanguard Tactics, actually took down a GT this weekend overseas. Those tight quarters must help them tremendously.
Yeah, they play a lot like Grey Knights. All right, let's keep on rolling to the armies with 2 wins. This one isn't too spicy. So Chaos Demons picking up 2 wins. You know, I think they're still a solid army. Anything that's got 6 inches where they can charge is viable. It's a stat check. If you know how to deal with it, it's easy. If not, it's hard. Emperor's Children, I think they're great in the current meta. They are fast as shit. You know, I actually, tiny update on that. The gentleman that I played at the tournament, for those of you that watched the Texas Open recap, Eric, the gentleman I talked about, was bragging about how good of an EC player he is. He and I were talking. He's actually going to come on the stream. And next week he and I are going to play a game, and he's going to play Emperor's Children, and I'm probably going to play Sisters, and we're going to have a fun rematch. Super cool dude. Really, really good player. So it'll be fun, especially for those EC enthusiasts. Like, he is really good. Chaos Space Marines, a million ways to play them. Good. The Aldari, you just can't keep the elves down. When you have that many detachments and that many models, they'll find a way to win. Space Wolves, here's an open challenge. I want to play a good Space Wolf player. So if there's anybody out there watching the videos and you're good, I'd love to play you on the stream, get a good game into Space Wolves, because I'll be honest, I think the army sucks. And maybe somebody out there can prove me wrong, but they just seem like a shittier version of World Eaters.
My God.
Speaking of which, World Eaters. I think they got a little unnecessarily nerfed in the last one. I honestly think World Eaters in come March will get a few points drops, and they'll be a solid army. They're not going to be top, but they'll be a solid army. And then Orcs. Man, Orcs are such a weird army. I feel like Orcs are similar to Knights. When they are good, they are devastatingly good. And then when they're okay, they're okay. I just love the fact that somebody won a tournament with more DACA. That's just the most Chad shit ever. So, you know, more power to you.
I was hoping Mark didn't see it, but he did.
But the cool thing is you got a pretty good sizable amount of armies that have a showing here. So that's pretty awesome. We're going to roll on up to the 3s.
Thousand Suns, our first 3 slot winner, or at least placer. You know, those Rubric Marines hit hard. And the bricks.
So do those Scarab Occult Terminators.
Yeah, yes. And when you plop them things down, and they have the capability to overwatch and lock somebody down on the way in, they're from around the way. They taking something with them, and they're probably going to punch up pretty good too.
Side note, all my Sisters players out there that have been asking about the new Insidiant unit, their whole army is Psyker. So anti-Psyker 3+, baby.
No, yeah, Sisters gonna be a hard counter. Leagues of Votann, ever since, you know, you had a second place from the US Open last weekend, it's just like
they got some resurgence. People dusted off their models.
Well, I mean, there's not much dusting off. The range is still relatively small, but I mean, people feel comfortable. It's like the blueprint has been laid. And you know, they've got a lot of firepower. They can get in and punch with you. Now their bikes are made of paper, as I've found out playing with them, but they can score you some points. They can come on the board, off the board. They're sneaky little units, but you better make sure you put them in cover.
Drukhari, I think Drukhari are perfectly positioned in this meta, with the exception of one army that is a hard stat check right now, but everything else is running typically elite infantry. So when you look at like Votann, when you look at Tyranids, when you look at Thousand Suns, as we get up and you see there's some Space Marine armies in there, Drukhari are really good at fighting that kind of stuff. Good movement, good damage. I think they just struggle with like some T12, T13 stuff, you know, with 20 wounds. They do struggle with a little bit of that kind of stuff. Tyranids, here's the thing. I don't give a shit about the 2 of these winners. One of these winners won a GT with a Harridan. So I had a buddy that went to the Texas Open with me and brought the Harridan. There's somebody that played Subterranean Assault with the Harridan. If you haven't seen it in real life, it is 2.5 feet long. It is enormous. You can't hide it. But that thing went in a hole, came out, and then yeeted its 46 shots and just went crazy.
Please
It's
tell
a
me
640 point. Is it 40? Hold on. I don't want to get the pigeon wrong.
Please tell me that thing has a deadly demise.
610 points. Yeah, it's 2d6.
Oh,
2d6. So it's a giant ass model. It's extremely expensive. So kudos to, hold on, his name was, by the way, best name ever, Rowan Kennett. Can't make that up. That's his name. Great last name. Great last name. But he won with a Harridan. Props to you, my man.
That would be funny if you basically took it in the hole, popped it out, went in the middle of their army, they blew it up, and you could automatically trigger its deadly demise.
Yeah, they don't have one of those, but I can tell you, playing a friend of ours that has one, I have had it fly into my army and deadly demise for like 40 damage across like half my army. The problem is it's 610 points, so it's a lot of points.
That's a big 18-wheeler to drive into somebody just to let it go.
All right, let's go to the armies that are really putting a hurt on the meta right now. So I'll take the Golden Boys. Here's the interesting thing, man. You said something earlier, Jason, about like laying the blueprint. So at about Christmas time, I was talking to a gentleman named Jack Tide, which is over in the UK. We were talking sisters and different stuff, and he was like, yeah, hopefully our meta won't move to the US. I went, what do you mean? And he goes, all these crayon eaters are playing 3 land raiders with 3 wardens. They're driving straight forward. The wardens are getting out, charging into your army, and they're just, you have to fight wardens in your front line for 2 rounds before you kill them. Meanwhile, these land raiders are just in the middle of the board, just laying hate with their guns. And he was like, it's a miserable stat check. It's a miserable stat check. And I was like, okay, spoiler alert, just like the T, it has come across the pond, and 3 of the 4 tournament placings were triple land raider, triple warden brick, just getting in your face. So It is a stat check that when they're 2 up, 4 up pops off, it is going to be very difficult to deal with. But I do think that if you're playing Custodes, as a tip, in case you go up against them, the goal should not be to kill them. The goal should be to screen them and to outscore them. So if you go first, whatever you've got with speed, get in their way so that they can't get out and clog up your lines. If you know that if they're coming towards you, and I would deploy in a way where they can't just charge those wardens straight in. Take a unit of scouts, take a unit of something and create a small screen wall. Worst case scenario, you go first and they're there, who cares? But best case, they go first, you're prepared for that, because that's the way you beat Custodes. The amount of times, every time I beat a Custodes player, they're very frustrated because I won't fight their wardens or their guard. I'll move 5 battle sisters and create a U around them and then not charge so that they just don't get to play the game. And you screen them to win. That's how you beat Custodes, and that's how you could beat the triple land raider list. Death Guard, 4 wins. Stinky boys.
Gotta represent.
I see Papa Nurgle.
Gotta represent the Papa Nurgle. And they're winning with everything in their codex.
Yeah, it's all over. It was like every list I looked at was different.
I would argue that potentially
that means it's healthy. They're healthy, man.
That the Death Guard had the best codex in 10th. I'll throw that out there because from top to bottom, minus Mortarian's Hammer, that was extremely OP that you don't see played anymore. You can win with every one of these detachments. Like Taliban, a lot of showing at Worlds. Champions of Contagion, being able to have 2 Contagions in there. Virulent Vectorum, shooting hell for somebody, especially if 10 Plague Marines pop out of that Rhino, it hits its target, and then you get the rerolls on top of it. You got a stratagem for it too. Death Lord's Chosen. You got a lot of nasty Terminators going to drop within 6 of you when them Plague Burst Crawlers hit you, and Mortarians in it too. It's a healthy across the board codex.
Very healthy army right now.
even with the points adjustments, they're still good. Um,
I just like 'em because you can play them a lot of different ways. I've
yeah,
seen, when I played a Death Guard player at the Texas Open, and he was 3-1 when we played, and he had triple fat boys. He had 2 unclean ones and a Rodigus. I
yep.
saw a ton of people that were running a whole bunch of all your tanks with some Terminators. I saw another one that had like three battle buses with rhinos full of Plague Marines. So like it was a lot of variety that all of them were playing well and doing well.
You play at MSU, you can play it very tank heavy. You
Yeah.
can play, I mean,
They're
it's
in a
very
very good
versatile.
place. And for those of you who haven't played for a long time, the longest state of the game forever was when you'd rank armies. D was for Death Guard because
Hmm.
they were just a bad army because they were slow and they weren't that tough. They finally now, I can tell you, they are tough, but they also hit very hard when they get close.
Oh, for sure.
All right, let's get into the meat of of the game.
Oh boy, the people that won the US Open Tau,
Not real people.
they're not real people. They're real robots though. Um, it's that army that the meme is made fun of. I know that y'all have went through YouTube and you ran across this channel and you liked and subscribed. And if you haven't, you should do so. Um, but you shameless plug, but you've seen that thing where like the video where the guy's going into the Warhammer store and he steals all the Tau models and the guy's going to stop him and then he sees it's Tau and they just let him go.
Yeah.
Tau is scary
Well, in the right pilot's
shooting.
hand, they're very scary. I
Yeah.
think the reason people don't like Tau though is because if you don't know how to screen and you don't know how to set up gun lines, you're going to
Yeah.
lose all your games because you have no like unless you're playing KROOT, hashtag shameless plug what we're giving away. Um, they can be tough, but if you know how to play
Yeah.
Tau, you shoot somebody off the board in turn 1.
Oh, yeah, and you're just, basically playing a game of Warhammer of just, "Hey, I'm gonna roll these dice by myself for the next, I don't know, 20 minutes scoring all these points, and you can go grab a soda for us if you'd like." I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Tau can be good. That the thing about Tau is that they have a lot of like they have a couple different detachments that are winning right now, but I think Tau are in a good place, but they don't feel broken. Like, oh my
mhm,
god, I got Tau. If I don't have like if I have a remotely open deployment, game's over on turn 1. Doesn't
yeah,
feel like that. So like I'm actually pretty happy with where they are.
mhm.
AdMech. It's cool to see them coming back up. I think that again, this is another one where they got hit. People may have gotten in their feelings about the point changes, and so we saw them their popularity and their placings go down. A few people started getting a couple of event wins, and all of a sudden now we're seeing them kind of come back up. I can tell you from just playing them like 2 weeks ago, playing a player that was I think at the time they were 4-1, like they're good. Like they are a good army. They play well. They felt like they had a bunch of stuff on the table. They hit really hard. Um, I think they're in a solid place. I don't really have anything negative about AdMech. I think sadly it took 3 years for them to get here, but they're here, and I think they're in a good place.
I'll say this, I think it was like our 1st or 2nd Meta Monday. I said they would be back. It's
Mhm.
just gonna take time for people to figure out the new cook in the kitchen
They
and
got
say,
slapped, and they had to take a minute and
"Yep,
shrug it off, and then get back up.
pretty much," but they're here.
Guard, fucking A, man. They were everywhere at the Texas Open. I swear, everywhere I looked, there was Lehman Russes and 20-man bricks Acadians and stuff. I think Guard are in a really good place. One of these wins is Nemo the Fish, who took 240 infantry. So I'm just going to PSA out there for anybody that's wanting to do that. If you can't play a game on tabletop where the dice auto roll in under an hour and a half on your turn, don't take it to a tournament because I saw multiple people get clocked at the Texas Open because they just ran out of time. They thought it would be a good idea. And it is a nasty army to fight, but you need to know how to run that methodically to be able to make it and play in your allotted time. But I honestly think the best guard list does run some big bricks, but I do think it's running around 12 Bulgrim, which means you're not going to have enough points for all of those infantry. But I think Guard are in a really good spot, man.
Yeah.
I think 2 tanks, a bunch of infantry, some Bulgrin. You're getting in there, you're skirmishing in the middle. Your tanks are going to probably be more efficient than darn near any other tanks you're going to be shooting at. They're in a really good spot. They're in a really, really good. I think this is the best spot they've been at potentially this whole edition, just because Guard have typically either been OP or they've been really bleh, and they're just in a very healthy competitive spot. And I think the game is in a good place when Guard is in a good place, because they're not a bad opponent to fight because you get to murder a ton of their dudes. The only thing that kind of sucks is when they say, "Hey, my Rogel Dorn's going to shoot," and it has more guns than half your army. That can be a little annoying, but they're in a good spot.
I promise you, GW is not struggling to sell their models.
Yeah, no. All right, so here's the interesting thing. So these were our armies that had 3, 4, and 5 placings. Here's the interesting. We had no army with 6 placings. We had 3 armies with over 9 placements.
It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
There was a clear gap between what I would consider is like the healthy level of the game of what people are doing and the armies that are placing the most. So the armies with 9 plus, one of these have not, 2 of them have 9, one have 10. I just didn't want to like make extra graphics. Ultramarines and Blood Angels each had 9 placings. Necron had 10 placings this week. So we're going to break these down. Here's the quick thing to think about. Both Ultramarines and Necrons got a lot of brand new models. So I'm not really good armies. They're both very good armies. They're doing very well. They also got a resurgence where people pulled those armies out of the cupboard because they got new toys to play with, and they're winning. I'll let you start with Necrons, and then we'll just roll on.
Necrons are kind of in the same place where Astra Militarum is. They don't have the shooting per se that Astra Militarum's Rogel Dorns have, but I mean,
Doomsday Arcs aren't nothing.
The Arcs slap, but they also go down very quick if they're piled upon.
Yeah, I think they're only toughness 9, if my memory serves me right, which is kind of an unusual break point.
But like the reanimation protocols, the big bricks of units they bring that if you don't have enough shooting, they're just going to exist. And unlike Astra Militarum, unless Astra Militarum's taken, I think it's their medic or whatever that allows the med packs. I mean, Necrons just regenerate. They're just there. They can either stat check the hell out of you by bringing shards, or they can bring a bunch of spammy brick, healthy, thick units that you're
I think they're a stat check no matter what. Yeah. Dude. I mean, the Wraith bricks are tough to kill. Yeah. Everybody is running like at least 1 or 2 Catons.
And then things are tossing back mortals.
Yeah. I mean, here's my suggestion for Necrons. So one of the things we try to do here is once we get to the top of the meta, I try to give you guys a little bit of competitive insight on like how I would fight them.
Bring an EMP.
That would work. If you don't just have an EMP laying around in your garage. One of the things you might try against Necrons, if they're a heavy stat check, and when I mean heavy stat check, more than 3 Catons. So they either have 4 Catons or they got 3 and a Silent King or a Monolith. If they've got like 4 or more big units, you only got to kill 1. They're going to send 1 to a solo objective. That's your Huckleberry. You kill him, and then you kill everything that is not those remaining 3 big units on the board. Kill everything else, and they will have a hell of a time scoring. You'll out OC them on points, and you just play an attrition game and you win. If they're running 3, it's actually, in my opinion, easier because they're good. You kill as soon as you kill that first one, the other 2 are probably going to be together. You just ignore them. You're going to have to feed them units, but try to ignore them and kill the rest of the army. I promise you, they do not want to go do established locus with their deceiver model or the Silent King or something like that.
No.
So just as crazy as this is going to sound, you got to kill 1 and then ignore the others and then just kill all their chaff and play the game. And that's how you beat the stat check.
And we had a 500 Worlds detachment actually take first place, which was their Canoptic Court, which I thought was going to be pretty strong. Just by looking at
Canoptic Court. It Pantheon of Woe, I thought.
No. Canoptic Court is the believe that's one. Let me double check, but I believe maybe that is
not a Necron player. I just that didn't sound new. But either way, Necrons are in a really good spot. So while he's looking at that, I'll click on Ultramarines. Ultramarines are just doing very well right now. They have maybe the best 90-point hold your expansion objective unit in the entire game in their new whatever it's called, like Shield of Ultramar, like little Hogan's Heroes units. It's 40 wounds with an invone for 90 points. Like that's just bananas and so good. Vitrix are still very good. Ultramarines right now have some of the best, most efficient shooting in the entire game. When you got Gilliman, you basically got double oaths. So you got 2 units, you're re-rolling all hits with +1 to wound. It's just Ultramarines are in a very good place. They're extremely efficient. And the problem GW has, which we've talked about a million times, with the exception of a few units, if they nerf them, they're nerfing all Space Marine armies. So how you beat Ultramarines, in my opinion, is, and this is the hard part, you can't get into, if they're a shooting version of the list, you cannot get into a shooting version. You have to kind of play a slower, more tactically, savvy game and wait for them to make a mistake. If they are playing a hybrid base list, you've got to shoot their non-shooting units. You have to kill what they're going to play the game with, what comes out. So then they have to put Gilliman on a point, and they've got to move those Redemptor, those Executioners up and put them on the point. That's how you have to play. You have to play into Ultramarines. They're just tough because they're good at everything. They're not bad at anything. And so because of that, it's really hard to pick out that just one weakness that they have. But play solid Warhammer and play your plan. Focus on their scoring units, similar to Necrons, unless you can isolate. Like if you can isolate, say you've got 2 Rogaldorns and they can fire into one of their repulsor executioners, send it, because you can then start playing the objective, and because you've picked up some of their key units.
And just for sanity's sake here, I looked it up. We were both correct. Pantheon of Woe and Canoptic Court are both 500 world
double
detachments.
dipping.
So we both win.
Double dipping. Everybody gets a cookie.
Yep, everybody, all 2 of us. And last but certainly not least is Blood Angels.
The vampires.
Hard to screen these guys. They're world eaters with wings.
Fucking hate Blood Angels.
They will fly over your screens and get in your grill, so you're not screening them out. Best way, if you're going to try to screen them out, is to try to have something where they're going to land. You need to pre-measure that movement to try to make it so that when they try to charge in, you're not giving them the place to land so the screen works to make them bite into that screen. If you don't, basically it's like having a ladder and someone has a fence in your way. Okay, I'm just going to climb over. They do slap in melee. Some things you can do. Most everybody brings a Sanguinor, bait out his immediate intervention.
Heroic.
Yeah, bait that out. You don't want him in your back lines. Drake and I played a game where I played Blood Angels, and he went in there and he stood his ground, I think, for 2 rounds.
The biggest thing is if the Sanguinor hasn't come down, you really, if you're going to have a melee interaction, you want to charge 2 into 1, because then when if he heroics in, he has the fear of, oh, well, they may just melee, like I can use my fights first to hurt one of these or pick up one of these units, but the other one's still going to get to attack. It's just a little bit tougher.
And if I understand Rage Cursed Onslaught, which is what most people are taking with them outside
of their 9 wins, 8 of them were Rage Curse, I think. 7 or 8.
They're going to get stronger the weaker you make them. Yep. Especially if they fail their battle shocks.
And they can make themselves fail a battle shock.
And they want to fail them because, it amplifies everything. So if you're going to
turn a melee army into an expression army, and as soon as you make a melee army an expression army, where the better skill you have is the better the army does, that army gets really scary really fast.
Really fast. So it's
Blood
just
Angels are really good, but
it's a tool they got that World Eaters don't. Even though World Eaters do have their ability to roll the
World Eaters hit harder, but you can screen them.
Yeah.
I just think with Blood Angels, realistically, you want fallback and do stuff.
Yeah.
You want to have something that you want to get them trading. They do have a lot of elite units, sanguinary guard, all that kind of stuff. It does cost a little bit more. You want to get them trading, and what I mean by that is like, hey, I sent out this 80-point unit that's going to stand on the point. I know you're going to kill it, but they don't have a lot of like 80-point units. Like their cheapest units are probably going to be like 95 points, maybe some jump pack intercessors. I
Mhm.
want you to send this 95-point unit out. You killed me, now I killed you. Okay, you lost 15 points more than me. And it may seem trivial, but like I did a video on trading, and the sister and orc game that I played just the other day on the stream, and we put in here for you guys. Trading is really important into Blood Angels, almost more than Ultramarines too. Like you want to go, hey, this 150-point model can kill this 200-point model. The 150-point model is going to get obliterated. That's okay though, because I'm going to trade, and at the end of it, I have 50 more points of models on the board than my opponent does. And if you keep playing that game, you'll win.
Yep, for sure.
So just to recap, the 9+ win teams, Ultramarines, Necrons, and Blood Angels, very strong armies right now. Very good place. If you're going to a tournament, you will see them. They will be everywhere, and they will probably have some top placing spots. So the more you can be prepared, the better off you'll do.
And one last thing for me is, we had a lot of armies actually place in that top four. And if your army didn't, then it's not a situation per se where the army's necessarily bad. It's just they don't have a lot of pilots playing it right now. They're on to the new army, new me for the new year. You're bound to see new things crop up. And I mean, anything can change from week to week. So if your army's not up there, don't be discouraged. Don't stop playing them. Don't look for the new hotness. Don't play one of these armies that's doing well just because it's doing well, because what starts at the top is going to fall down at some point.
110%.
It's a game of Warhammer. It's changed every edition. There's about to be 11 editions, hopefully. And every edition there has been somebody that's been at the top that wasn't in the beginning. So just keep plugging away, keep getting in practice. That's the only way to get better. Get you a friend group, join a Discord, just keep playing.
Absolutely.
And don't forget, with last Meta Monday of the month for the giveaway. He's got it in the box. You don't have to Brad Pitt from 7. What's in the box? We know what's in the box. We saw him in the first 5 minutes put the stuff in the box. You're getting what's in the box. So if you want what's in the box, type meta. You got, I think it's 4 chances to win for the 4 Meta Mondays we've had. Go type meta in all of them. And then next week, we are going to be announcing the giveaway. And for our new Mana Monday next month, look at them boxes.
We may have stuff planned for the next couple months.
Yeah. So that's why he told me to hold on a minute. So we have stuff planned for you guys for showing your love, showing your support. Just keep liking, keep subscribing. If you got buddies that are into Warhammer, pass the channel along to them. Sharing's caring. Stay warm. It's cold in the United States.
It is. So hopefully this is helpful. If you have questions about a specific army, drop it in the comments. We're happy to give you any feedback or tips we have. But otherwise, drop a like for the Emperor. Subscribe for more 40K content, and remember, in the grim darkness of the far, far future, there's always more to break down. Bye, y'all.